The exchange is fumbled, brings up a loss on the play. Second down. And the ball at the 15 for the Falcons. 20. Number 3 on the carry, tackled by number 9, Gage Watt. He's got a third down rule.
Just underway here in the first quarter. On the gun. Stevens drops the pass. In trouble. And gets rid of it.
The Silverwolves fire up the heat.
It's fourth down here.
Jackson Croft with the pressure brings up a fourth down for the Falcons. Let's get loud, Silverwolves. Trent Paul, that is a Falcons
Skyridge on the board first.
Kick is good by Blake Hester. Puts the Falcons at 7. And Silverwolves at 0.
Commercial to recreational truck accessories, Mountain Land Truck Outfitters has got what you need. Flatbeds, spray and bed liners, lifts and leveling kits, wheels and tires. Mountain Land Truck Outfitters proudly uses a brand you know and trust. And with our experienced, knowledgeable, and friendly staff, your visit here will be informative and enjoyable. Stop into our convenient location in Provo at 265 South 100 West or call 801-225-4637 to get a quote for your fleet or individual truck. Mountain Land Truck Outfitters.
Blake Hester's kick, returned by number 5, Easton Hicks. Ball is at the 17-yard line for the Silverwolves. Let's welcome out your Silverwolves offense. Nelson's pass to Hicks is incomplete. Brings up second down. Ball on the 17.
That's what's scary about it. It's not one sweet snow, it's 11 sweet snows. Here's Hicks on the handout to the right side. And he's going to get swallowed up in the backfield. Nowhere to go for another goal.
Caleb Christian on the carry. Brings up a Silverwolves third down. Andrew Nelson's pass, intended for Owen Barton, is incomplete. Brings up fourth down.
This time it's a high snap, and it's going to go out of the end zone for a safety. Goodness gracious.
Snap went long, brings up a safety.
Now that snap.
Skyridge man.
Skyridge now has put nothing on the board in less than 5 minutes with that safety. Now Skyridge going to get the football. I don't know if it's the jitters or not, but Riverton better figure this out quickly.
We'd like to thank tonight's sponsor and medical coverage provided by Intermountain Sports Medicine, the official medicine provider for the Riverton Silverwolves. Our athletic trainer is Melissa Scott and Brandon Hanson. We are thankful for their service. Hall and Golden Smith for the Falcons back to receive. Falcons return the ball to the 37-yard line, brings up first and 10. Number 3 carry. Jonas Tuiaso on the tackle for your Silverwolves. That's going to bring up second and 10. Start on the Falcons. Back him up 5. Going to bring up second and long. Ball is on the 32-yard line. Number 7, Alana for the Falcons with the catch, and Bryson Dupay for the Silverwolves on the tackle. Brings up a first down for the Falcons on the 26-yard line. Let's welcome out your Silverwolves defense. Robert Whalen with the catch. Tackled by number 9, Dave Rock. Brings up a first down for the Falcons. The ball is on the 16. Carter Shepard on the carry, scores for the Falcons. Brings it to 15.
Skyridge Falcons asserting themselves early here.
Blake Hester with the kick. It is good. Skyridge 16. A reminder that concessions today are located at the northeast corner of the stadium. Delicious snacks like Chick-fil-A, nachos, hot dogs, lemon heads, your dad's boat, all sorts of goodies and beverages. Number 5, Eastern Hicks. Number 7, Owen Martin. Back to receive the kick from Skyridge.
Stevens takes the snap, looks to Sheffield. Screen. That's complete to McClellan. Trevin McClellan with a block. Trevin McClellan. Goodbye. Touchdown, Skyridge.
6-4-6.
One play for 6. And the Falcons again into the end zone with ease.
And that one right there, the Falcons said, okay, you're going to take away our punt return touchdown. That's okay. We'll just draw up one play and we'll get it done. That right there, McClellan just followed his blocks, used his speed to take him to the end zone. Easy peasy.
Third touchdown thrown by Jackson Stevens, all in this first half. Sheffield has the other touchdown. What a deadly offense this team has, as there's a penalty marker down on the extra point. And I suspect it's going to be backed up 5 yards.
False start by the Falcons. Retry the attempt.
So retry the PAT there, Amrine. More special teams problems.
Yeah.
Team of the night.
We've seen quite a few flags, and we're pretty used to seeing a laundry fest out here, but not so much on the special teams side.
We haven't seen an equipment violation yet, so I guess people are getting the message about that this year.
That's true. We did have a few messages last week, Jared Cull and I, over at Twilla High School, about the knee pads. Oh, and we got another one. Why not?
Now we're going to have an offside. So 5 off and 5 right back.
Some more laundry on the field. Offside by the Silverwolves.
And this has got to be driving the Riverton fans mad, because this is the same picture they've seen for the last 3 weeks. And now it's rearing its ugly head again, as this time the extra point is perfect. It is up and good, and it is 30-0 in favor of Skyridge.
Yeah, and as you said, Riverton's fans seeing more of the same. We just go back, look on their schedule. 38 points allowed week 1, 25 week 2, 49 last week. And right now we're at 30, and we're just at the start of the second quarter.
We like to remind you, of course, KSL Sports Rewind's coverage of Skyridge football is presented by Heidemann & Associates, the only full-service law firm that is committed to winning for their clients. It's also brought to you in part by Igloo Outfitters, the coziest wearable sleeping bag has you covered during the chilly days and the chilly nights. Don't worry about the weather and watch your favorite team in comfort, like Jeff Hansen does back in the KSL Sports Zone studio with Igloo Outfitters. Go to igloooutfitters.com and enter Rewind for $20 off. That's IGLUoutfitters.com. Wouldn't we like to be where Jeff Hansen is right now in that Igloo Outfitters blanket? Kickoff will be once again taken by Easton Hicks. This time he'll take it at the goal line. And he gets crunched right at the 15-yard line. Some extracurricular activity over at the 25, but nothing really happens or comes of it. So now we come to this part here for Riverton. I mean, Riverton's been in these kinds of games before, but what do they do now? Down by a mile and a half.
Well, we've seen how much good their offensive line has done for them so far, and by that I mean not a whole lot. Nielsen's just got to do a better job of getting that ball out quick. With the offensive line woes, you can't expect them to get much on the ground, as that has been a majority of their success on the offensive side of the ball this season. Hopefully Nielsen can find some people in the slot and over the middle.
To be fair, they are going up against one of the best defensive lines in 6A, as Nielsen takes a shot up the sideline, and that pass is incomplete. Intended up the sideline for Michael Mullenny, who just came in at that X-receiver position. Well covered that time by Travian Edwards.
It's kind of been a shame so far. I mean, Nielsen is receiving pressure from that defensive line that you just noted has been one of the best so far. But these wide receivers, they're doing a good job of beating their coverage, and if just a few of these balls are a bit closer to the receivers, this game could be a lot closer.
Play action to Christensen. Nielsen steps up. Nielsen takes off, and he gets swung down. What a play there by the nickelback, Tobin Smith. A good sure tackle in the open field.
Tobin Smith, that's another name that we remember from last season. I'd like to see a bit more creativity in the Silverwolves play calling right here.
Triple wide receiver lines up to the right. Free rusher coming off the edge. It's a screen, and it's tipped and incomplete. What a play there by Deshaun Toilolo. I believe they got his hand on it. And we've called his name a lot here in this first half.
Yeah, and right here, Amelafa was the first one to get to the pressure right there. Nielsen saw that pressure coming on his right side where they were letting up for that block, and so he just tried to get that screen off, but a good spot right there. Bring up another fourth down.
Walker back to punt for the Silverwolves.
Well, whoever said the Skyridge defense wasn't, well, we said the Skyridge defense wasn't as dominant as has been the last season. I better take that back, as Walker's punt is a laser.
Certainly proving their worth here tonight.
Certainly are. Kalama takes it on the run at the 46. And better coverage this time as he gets pulled down by the jersey at the 44-yard line.
Let's welcome out
Parker.
Silverwolves defense.
And right there by Kalama right there. You know, loses a few yards, but when you got a shaky, shifty guy right there, you're willing to do that. You know, we saw that he was able to return another one for a touchdown. Unfortunately, it was called back due to a penalty, but, you know, I'm sure Coach Hems isn't losing any sleep over that.
Parker Ward, by the way, is the one that brought Kalama down on that last play. So from the 42, Jackson Stevens. Sheffield, left side. And Sheffield over left guard. He gets taken down by a host of black shirts. At around, call it the 46-yard line. Riker Christensen, first contact there on a gain of 4.
Number 49, Riker Christensen.
You know, and when you have just a simple, you know, 5-person right here, it's not like they're running strong side, weak side runs. It's all just about what the offensive line can penetrate, how much room they can allow for the running back, and then it's up to Sheffield to put his shoulder down and drive and pick up some yards.
Stevens on second down and long, looking, throws over the middle, and it's incomplete. Was looking for Kalama on the RPO play, but it was well covered by Gabe Torkanu, and here's the first third down in a while here for Riverton.
And that run right there, I don't know if there's a bit of miscommunication or Stevens was trying to get rid of that ball. That one fell incomplete.
A 30-0 game, but certainly a big third down here for the Riverton defense. And what would almost certainly be a punt situation for the Skyridge offense.
And one thing that was interesting, I think it was Michael Maleni who was out on the field for the last play. He was wide open on the far side of the field. Stevens, I just didn't think, had enough time to recognize it.
McClellan goes in motion. He gets it on the fly sweep. McClellan to the edge. McClellan first down and more, but a flag goes down at the 49-yard line, and where the yellow hanky is tossed, Amrine. I'm looking at you right now because I think I know where this is going.
Yeah, and it looks like that's going to be a holding right there. And I was going to say that was really good blocking, but of course it's really good blocking if you can hold, but you can't, and so that one's coming back. But that was a good job nevertheless by McClellan, reading his blocks, reading that he needs to go to the outside edge and picking up the first down and just getting it by a few yards. That one is going to come back.
Sorry, Bryson Dupay is the one that slowed him up finally.
Let's get loud, Silverwolves.
It's third down once again here, third down and a long. Triple wide receiver lines up to the left. Play clock inside of 10. Kalama lines up slot to the left. Stevens drops back, flag goes down, looking, throws, he's got a man in coverage, and it is intercepted! Intercepted, we'll see what the flag is. Brought down Evan Burton in coverage. And a huge play just with a doctor order for the Riverton Silverwolves, but we will see what the penalty marker is. It's at the line of scrimmage.
A dangerous throw right there by Stevens, throwing it up into double coverage. And Burton, the safety, just reading that ball, going up and getting it at its highest point. That's Burton's third interception of the season. The only player on the Silverwolves defense that has had an interception so far this season. So keeping it good, and that could be just what the Silverwolves team needs right now.
And Jay Wade is saying it's a sideline warning against Riverton, so no penalty. It is a first down, and now here comes the Riverton offense. Manna from heaven, at least in its purest form, it would have been if it was only a 2-score game, but this is a huge opportunity for them to go down the field right here.
Well, the defense certainly produced right there, getting that turnover. Now let's just see what the offensive line has to prove.
Triple wide receiver lines up to the left, rather. Easton Hicks, the tailback, to the left of Andrew Nielsen in the shotgun. And it's a handoff. Nope, it's a play-action screen, and it's nearly picked off. Traven Edwards was thinking 6, and his hands were not as fast as his mind right there, and that throw by Nielsen just took way too long to get to the edge.
And that one almost looked reminiscent of BYU's Max Tooley last season, the season opener against USF. Just reading that screen the whole way, he knew where Nielsen's eyes were going, tried to just pick it off, got there maybe a second sooner, half a second sooner, he was going home for 6.
That was a gift if the Riverton offense ever needed it. 2nd and 10. Hicks the handoff, right side, goes to the right, and he picks up about maybe a couple. Gets pulled down by his shirt right there by Jonah Johnson, one of the reserve edge rushers coming in, and it will be 3rd down and 8 here for Riverton. They have yet to convert a 3rd down here tonight. They're 0 for 6.
The runner right there was able to get past a few defenders, but Johnson just did a good job, good form tackling, taking him down the backfield, set up 3rd and long.
This time 4 wide receivers. 5 will go into the pattern. 3rd down and 8 now from the 42. Nielsen a pass, and he goes down again. No chance to get out of that one. Deshaun Toilolo and Taki Tonga get into the backfield that time.
Once again, Toilolo now joined by Tonga, just getting back there. This offensive line, they've just been facing problem night after night. And, you know, they're just being purely outpowered right here, outmuscled.
Walker's punt toward the sideline. Edwards, 2 hands above his head, takes it. Gets away from one, tries to make a couple of moves, and he will finally get spilled at the 30-yard line.
Tavian Edwards right there, you know, not getting a ton of yards, but pretty impressive. He went from losing yardage, then stiff-armed the one guy that was on him, able to juke his way, get a few yards. That's pretty impressive. And I'm sure the Falcons right here were hoping to, if you will, pitch a perfect night and score on every drive, unable to do that in the last one, so I expect them to come out hungry and shooting on all cylinders here.
Skyridge football on the Rewind Sports Network is presented by Advanced Windows. They're hosting their fall window sale, $2,000 off. 10 windows or more for 60 months, 0 interest. And financing are available for a limited time only. Stevens from the shotgun. Blitz coming, throw, that's complete to the sideline. McClellan gets bumped out of bounds by Burton. And he'll pick up about maybe 7 on the play.
You know, another trend that we have seen, it's not the Silverwolves have done a bad job necessarily bringing people down, but, you know, a bad job creating pressure. You know, we talked about coming into this game, that's something that they really need to do. Only 2 sacks so far this season.
Blitz coming, and Sheffield still able to squirm out of that. Boy, there were 6 black shirts right on top of him, and Carter Sheffield, the senior, able to squirt out of that backfield and pick up another 1st down.
And Sheffield is so funny, you know, just looking at his size and frame, he's got just those big, broad shoulders. You expect him to be a guy to put down his shoulder and drive through, but he's so shifty with his feet.
He is such a weapon. Carter Sheffield plays on the basketball team for Skyridge. Of course, shout out to Coach Jeff Gardner if he's watching back at his home tonight. We know he is. He somehow always is. And Sheffield will get the handoff again. This time tries the right side. Sheffield got a hole, makes a man miss, and he gets finally brought down to the 40-yard line. Another big chunk play there for Carter Sheffield, and another 1st down for Skyridge.
Sheffield quick with his feet, quick with his reading right there. He ran right into his own guy, took a second to just look at his blocks ahead of him, shifted right, went upfield, tried to go right instead of left right there. Not able to go perhaps as quite as far as he did, but a really good read right there. Would have been a 3-yard gain, make it a 1st down.
We remind you folks, of course, that if this score reaches 37-0, then it is going to be a running clock until Riverton gets it within 14 points. Stevens looking to make that happen. He throws. He's got McClellan, and he's got it inside the 5. What a throw by Jackson Stevens, and Trevin McClellan comes up with an amazing catch inside the 5, and it's 1st and goal at the 2.
Brings up 1st and goal for the Falcons.
Owen Barton right there on the coverage right there, and it looked like he had him covered all day. He was lucky that he didn't put a hand on him right there. He wasn't looking at the ball that could have been called for a defensive pass interference, which is why he didn't try to get any hands on him right there, but McClellan just able to see right where that ball was going.
Sheffield next to Stevens. We assume he's going to get it. He does, and he walks in. Touchdown, Skyridge.
Number 3, Sheffield on the carry for the touchdown.
And
They are just making it look easy right now, this Skyridge team.
And right there, just as they drew it up, it's just a cakewalk right into the end zone. Just follow his blocks and get good penetration. Just doing what's been done.
So Harvey now for the extra point. He's had quite a bit of work to do here in the first half. Good snap, good hold, and the kick is good. 37-0 Skyridge with 6:16 to go here in the first half. Back after this word from UC Football on the Rewind Sports Network. Alexander Timolabalik Samrine here at Riverton Stadium, as we are having a brief stoppage here while the officials will now tell the coaches that we will be running clock for the remainder of this game unless Riverton gets it within 14 points, as is the rule. I mean, Amrine, I have to tell you, I expected a lot of things to come out of this game. I did not expect 37-0 here. I mean, this just shows you, Skyridge just basically is saying, hey, we're here, and we're not going anywhere.
They look like no signs of slowing down. They had some close games. They did face some tough opponents the first few weeks, but, this week, going up against, as we talked about it, a really good 0-3 Riverton side. But they have done everything here tonight to convince me that they have what it takes to go back to the state championship, make a deep run into the playoffs.
So Jim Freeland going to rally the troops here, as is Justin Hem. And Amrine, I think the message is pretty clear for Riverton at this point. Look, we got basically 2.5 quarters to make this respectable. I mean, that's got to be the message at this point. We got 2.5 quarters to turn this around and make this respectable going into next week's region opener against Harriman. Also a very difficult game.
Well, and if I'm being blunt right here, you're down 37-0. You don't got a whole lot to lose.
No, you
don't.
Go
out. Just give it your best effort. Go deep into your playbook. Try things that haven't been done. Give the ball to the guys you wouldn't normally give. See what they have to offer. And try to get some points on the board and make this game look a bit more respectable, as you said.
And it has to be the message going into this final 2.5 quarters of the game here. Head coach Jim Freeland has really been up against it his first 4 games, but you have to say, at least for the first 3 games, they kept it close, but this was a whole different animal, Amrine, and we knew this was going to be Riverton's toughest test.
Yeah, and when we were driving up here, I was telling you, I was like, man, I think that this one's going to be just another Skyridge W right here to extend them to 4-0 on the season. And, you kind of convinced me that this game's going to be a lot closer, and now I'm thinking, I don't know what to believe anymore.
That's the nature of Utah high school football. We don't know what to believe anymore after so many close games, as a squib kick trying to keep it away from Hicks. And coming up is Burton taking it on the run. Burton at the 30 gets a block from Hicks, and he gets upended as he crosses the 45-yard line. And we got a man down for Skyridge on the other side of the field. That's Preston Forsyth, one of the gunners downfield that got clipped on the leg. And he is struggling to get off the field. But, again, Riverton, good field position here to start the drive.
Yeah, they've had a lot of things working for them. The defense not so much with the way that the special teams has been as far as their punching unit goes. But their offense, they've had good positions on the field for each of their drives. Unable to do anything with it, though.
6:01 to go. Clock starts immediately. Pass is caught. Making a move and getting lit up at the midfield stripe was Ratliff.
Ratliff right there, good catch, turning around, looking which way to go. He just had guys at every little point that he was expected to go, so he just had to go down and take the hit.
Riverton has yet to cross midfield in this entire first half, Amrine. Amazing.
You know, my pregame notes, I told Skyridge, just keep Riverton out of their own half. You know, I meant that kind of as a, metaphor. I didn't think that was actually going to be a huge challenge for them. It looks like it's been something they've been able to do super easily so far tonight.
Nielsen, play was blown up. Now he takes off, and Nielsen's got a first down across the 45.
Nielsen on the scramble.
And the first down of the night for the Silverwolves comes with 5:18 here in the first quarter.
You know,
the first half, rather.
And if you weren't to know the score, but you were to hear that one team was winning, the other team wasn't, and the losing team hadn't gotten their first down until 5 minutes left in the second quarter, the score is not going to be super pretty.
Again, we're in a running clock situation. 5 minutes to go. Clock will only stop on penalties and timeouts here from here out, with the score over 35. Nielsen, play action, throws, that's complete. Out to the H-back. That's Jackson Rangers, who we expected to start at defensive end, but instead he comes in at H-back, and he gets about maybe 4.
I'm surprised we haven't seen more from him. He's a big man right there. Senior 6'5", 200 pounds. Wearing that number 87, I got a little homesick of my New England Patriots right there.
Rob Gronkowski, there you go.
Is that Gronk? No, it's not. This is Riverton High School. But, I got a little excited right there. But, good catch and run right there, a little out route. Pick up some good yards.
Hicks comes into the backfield on 2nd down and 6. It's a screen, and Hicks wasn't ready for it. And it's going to bring up a 3rd down and 6 here from the 41. And I would assume, based on that, Amrine, this is 4-down territory here for the Silverwolves.
Oh, no, you got to go, especially after you brought your team together, have a little talk. They're going guns a-blazing right here. They're not going to try to do anything, whether that means punt it. They know what the Skyridge offense can do, whether that means starting from Skyridge's own 5-yard line or the 40.
So from the 41, triple wide receiver lines up to the right. High snap. Nielsen, free rusher. Gets away. Still on his feet. Close to the first down. Where is he? Line judge says he's got it. Move the sticks.
And Nielsen right there, I've liked what I've seen from him moving his legs a little bit, not just sitting in the pocket. Right there, able to avoid pressure, something he's been receiving all night long, able to reach out and extend and get a first down. I hope that we see more of that from Nielsen. It looks like that's been some of their most explosive plays of the night.
You kind of wonder where that has been all night long.
And that could be something just about how the offensive coordinator likes his offense to be. He doesn't want that scrappy offense. He wants to be a bit more consistent. Play right there, but we'll see.
Hicks gets the handoff right side, and Hicks powers up through the middle and picks up about maybe 5.
Well, if they keep this rolling, we might not have a rolling clock for much longer right here if they're able to bring it closer over there with a field goal or a touchdown.
Well, the rule is in Utah high school football, it needs to be within 14 points for it to stop running constantly. So even if Riverton scores here, we still have a long ways to go. And by the time Riverton, in fairness, gets it within 14 points, it might be a final. Here's Hicks breaking tackles. Easton Hicks to the left, still on his feet, tripped up. And he goes down right at the 20-yard line. Mark him officially at the 18, and another first down for Riverton.
And Easton Hicks right there, you could tell he was so eager to get that ball. As soon as he got the ball, he ran into injure Nielsen trying to just get off. And he made his way through the tackle, got the first down, and then stumbled onto the ground. He was so excited just to see open grass in front of him.
Man, Easton Hicks, the kid's a stud. That is for sure.
It's 1st and 10 for the Silverwolves on the
over 100 yards in returns for Easton Hicks tonight, and now approaching 175 total all-purpose yards tonight. He is something else. Nielsen rolls. Nielsen takes off. Toilolo misses a tackle on him. Not the second man to get him. Brought down right there. Brought down there by Porter Logan, one of the free safeties coming up from his safety position, making the stop.
And right there with that rollout option, wide receivers all that backed up. So much of the defense can be pushed into the back of the end zone. By the time that Nielsen finds his way up, it's just going to be a guaranteed couple yards right there. Once again, we're wondering to ourselves, why haven't we seen more of this earlier?
Is a fair point. First or second and 3 now from the 10. Nielsen, play action, throws, corner, Burton, overthrown, penalty flag comes down.
Nielsen's pass.
Mark Baird was the one in coverage in the corner of the end zone, but he looked like he had a hold of his jersey. And I believe that is going to be 1st and goal for Riverton.
You know, Mark Baird, he did have a hand on the play right there. You know, it's hard to see from where we are up here if he did it with a tug or if he was trying to just keep track of where his man was. You know, that one's kind of a toss-up for me. It didn't look like it was really impeding the receiver's ability to get up and get the ball, but it looks like it will be a PI. Set them up with 1st and goal.
1st and goal now at the 3. Officially marked at the 5.
The ball is at the 5-yard line.
So 4 downs to get in the end zone here for the Silverwolves. Christensen, the tailback. Nielsen, the quarterback. He takes the snap. Fly sweep to Ratliff. Ratliff brought down in the backfield. They were not fooled. Mark Baird atones for his mistake.
Derek D. Ratliff.
And with such a good performance so far from the defense, you know, Mark Baird, he doesn't want to be the first guy to let up that big play or that big defensive error right there. So he's going to do everything in his power to prove to his teammates, hey, guys, I got this. I'm not losing my focus.
Ball is on the 7-yard line.
Riverton trying to break the donut here. Ratliff lines up in the slot to the left. Rangers to the right. Nielsen looks for Rangers, throws for Rangers, and it's off his hands, incomplete. Mark Baird again, the coverage. That's twice now they targeted Mark Baird, 3 times in a row, actually, and it's worked out all 3 times. At least from the Skyridge perspective, that is.
And Mike Baird right there receiving a lot of heavy pressure from the tight end.
Yeah, Jackson Rangers is 6'4", going up against Mark Baird, who's 6'1".
6'5", actually. 6'5",
yeah.
200, huge frame. You know, Baird not backing away from his opponent right there.
And Riverton going to take a timeout as the play clock was winding down. We'll step away and take one with them as well. 1 minute, 23 seconds left to go here in the first half. Skyridge leading by a sizable margin, but Riverton looking to get on the board. Welcome back to Skyridge Football, presented by Heidemann & Associates on the Rewind Sports Network. And it's also presented by Advanced Windows. Get your new windows now before the weather starts to cool down and the snow flies. You can call now to schedule an in-home, no-pressure audit of your current windows. 3rd down and goal from the 7. Nielsen throws and incomplete. Threw it into an empty area. And it looked like he was throwing to a place where only Owen Burton could get lit up by the defense. And here comes the field goal unit, just trying to put 3 on the board, and Will Walker will try to do the honors.
And that one right there, oh man, that was a bit of a dangerous look right there, hoping this guy would just go through the cracks in the slot right there. That one looked like it was closer to Skyridge DB than it was a wide receiver.
So out of the hold of Burton, here's Walker, the BYU commit. Good snap, good hold, and the kick, wouldn't you know it, is good. (37-3), Skyridge now leads here to the familiar strains of War Eagle. Here at Riverton Silverwolves Stadium, Alexander Tumup alongside Alex Amrine. Will Walker will kick off. Trent Call. And number 2 for Skyridge, that is Colby Smith back to receive the kickoff.
So just to draw a picture a little bit of the difference between the offense and the defense. So the offensive side for the Riverwolves so far this season have scored just 45 points. The defense, on the other hand, has now allowed 149 points. So over 100 points of difference between those two.
Walker's kick will go right through the end zone. And I suspect that's why BYU recruited him.
William Boomstick Walker kicks it out of the end zone for a touchback.
So we'll see what the Skyridge offense does here, up by a sizable margin here late in this first half.
24.
Skyridge right here, you know, kind of the world is their oyster. A minute 20 left. Clock is going to be running, but they can do whatever they want. You know, they can drive down the field, try to get something, get a bit more momentum. I don't know how much more momentum you need when you're already up 34 points going into halftime. But right here, you know, they might want to try something else. Or we could see them just run the ball, get into halftime, get some rest, and go finish this thing.
Riverton will get the second half kickoff. Skyridge, rather, will get the second half kickoff. Stevens going to throw down the middle. That is caught for a first down. Jack Burke breaks a tackle, and he gets brought down close to midfield. Well, I guess throw everything out the window.
Yeah, I was thinking, no, they'll probably just go into halftime. They're going to get the ball back. No, really good pass right there. Jack Burke caught in stride, able to pick up a few yards after the catch.
Stevens to throw again on first down. Got protection this time. Throws on the sideline for Smith. Incomplete.
And Colby Smith right there, I think he jumps just a second too early on that one. A second later, oh, that would have been a beauty of a throw and a catch. Back shoulder right there. And the DB right there throwing his hands up as incomplete. I don't know how much that was him, but, you know, celebrate what you can.
JoJo McGee was the one in coverage on the play. You know the Riverton defense wants to at least hold Skyridge out of the end zone here on the final possession of the first half. Skyridge has scored on every possession here in the first half. Stevens, screen. That's complete. Wide open. At the 40. At the 30. Torkanu to beat. Still on his feet. Inside the 25. Brought down to the 20. Penalty flag flies in from the right side. A face mask as Brett Baylor took off on that screen. What a great call by head coach Justin Hem, who is the de facto offensive coordinator.
Well, and such a genius call right there. You know, on the last play, they've gone to the right side. They set up 3 receivers on the right side. Jackson Stevens looks to his right side, drawing the defenders over there, but his whole offensive line, meanwhile, with his running back, is going over to the left.
So the penalty is waived off, so I guess they must have caught Baylor up around the chin. And now we're going to get a timeout by Skyridge, as now they're realizing that the clock's going to run here.
We'd like to give a special thank you to all of our sponsors.
So, Amrine, I now turn to you, and this has fairly, I think, gone the way we thought it would here in the first half, but I think it's more shocking the way Skyridge has just taken this game by the throat and just stamped on it here in the first half.
Yeah, and you know, that opening kickoff, right? When you saw that return from Easton Nix, you were thinking, oh man, okay, this is going to be an exciting start. And it was a quick 3-and-out and punt situation, which led Skyridge to score on their opening drive. They've only had one time here they haven't scored. And I don't know what else to say. I mean, Skyridge is doing everything that they've been doing so far all season. They look like more the Skyridge from last season when their offense is just high-flying. They have so many weapons. And Stevens, I can't echo it enough, just looks so confident in the pocket, and it helps so much when his offensive line is giving him all sorts of times a day.
38 seconds left to go here in the first half. Skyridge has scored on every possession. They have had the possession of the ball here in the first half. Aside, of course, from the safety. They put up 23 in the first half, or the first quarter, and they put up 14 more here in the second, and they are threatening to put up more here before halftime. Clock will run after the timeout. After the ball is snapped, of course. Smith goes in motion, now comes back to the left. Play action. Stevens throws left, down to the corner, and caught! And into the end zone for the touchdown, Trent Cole!
Number 1, Trent Cole on the...
And actually, they're going to mark him out of bounds at about the 1.
Play is out of bounds at the 4-yard line.
Yeah.
Either way, it's still going to be first and goal.
And that was an awesome play right there. Wide receiver called the motion to the right, back over. Just get the defenders a little confused right there. Another timeout now by the Silverwolves.
Yeah, Glenn Page, the defensive coordinator, I think might have seen enough. Not the first half. You want to be a defensive coordinator on that side for the purple and black. Skyridge threatening again. We'll be back after this short timeout on the Rewind Sports Network. Alexander Tumulip, Alex Amrine here. Heinemann and Associates is a flat rate law firm that is completely focused on you. You can get a free consultation by calling them at 801-472-7742 today. First and goal from the 4. And it is a pitch pass to McClellan, and he gets in for the touchdown.
Number 6, McClellan on the carry for a Falcons touchdown.
And that means Skyridge has scored on all 6 possessions that they have had the ball here in the first half. And that will go down as a passing touchdown.
And something's got to be said, of course, for the blockers on the offensive line, but how about the blockers for the wide receivers? They've done such a good job, whether it be these screen passes to the outside or that little pitch pass right there. Just doing a good job opening up the lane for McClellan to get in for the touchdown.
Extra point is up. And it is good, 44-3. Skyridge leads Riverton. And we still have 30 seconds left to go here in the first half. We'll be back after this word from Igloo Outfitters, a proud sponsor of the Rewind Sports Network on KSLSports.com.
Number 7,
Would it be like to know what Jeff Hansen is thinking while that Igloo commercial is running?
Well, I know he's warm.
Well, he's probably freezing his tail off, the poor guy in the studio. Alexander Tumulpa alongside Alex Amrine here at Riverton High School. 44-3 is your score. 30 seconds to go here at Silverwolves Stadium until halftime. Skyridge has put up 21 here in the second quarter after putting up 23 in the first. It's a short pooch kick. He'll take a bounce, and it is picked up, and it is recovered by a Skyridge player, but there's a flag. Actually, I think it was supposed to be a beanbag because you cannot advance an onside kick offensively. And another special teams gaffe by the Silverwolves.
And that one right there, I don't know if it was a miscommunication between, hey, who's going to get on this ball right there. But before they could act, Skyridge did. That's going to set up. Oh, my goodness. This is just really getting out of hand as Jackson Stevens comes out one more to add another touchdown to his repertoire.
Well, Riverton really needs to put a stop together to at least save their pride here. I mean, they cannot afford to let this get to 50 points before halftime. Stevens looking, throws, caught. Smith out of bounds at the 10-yard line.
And what a pass right there by Stevens. And that one was just a little rainbow pass right over safety Bryson Dupay, who was playing down right there to find his receiver. Colby Smith makes the good catch, gets a few yards, gets out of bounds, stop the clock. 23 seconds left to go.
I mean, this honestly has been insane.
And one person we haven't seen in a little bit is Kalama out here with the rest of this offense.
Yeah, Kalama had the first touchdown, but other than that, not much else. And Skyridge, they're all looking back at the officials saying the clock shouldn't have run because Colby Smith stepped out of bounds. But the thing is with the running clock, Amrine, supposed to run even if the player steps out of bounds outside of 35 points. At least that's what the interpretation of the rule is. Jim Freeland is walking around here saying, what gives?
And Jim Freeland gives a sign to the clock operator to put up.
Yeah, it's a sign to the clock operator to put up 23 seconds. So now we have 23 seconds officially left here in the first half. From the 15 now. Stevens looking, throws, screen complete. McClellan got a block inside the 5, and down he goes at the 2. And the clock will stop while they move the chains with 13.2 seconds to go. Sheffield the handoff, Sheffield the push, and the score. Touchdown.
50 burger first
wow.
half.
Scores for Skyridge.
That is Sheffield's 3rd touchdown of the first half. And I'm right, I can't believe I'm saying this. Skyridge, 7 first half possessions, 7 touchdowns.
Yeah, and aside from that one touchdown, or that one interception, excuse me, in the first half, it's been all go for Skyridge.
51-3.
Blake Hester's kick is good for the extra point.
Now here's the question. Do we get the triple digits, or do we see second team come out?
I very think we'll see the second team coming out. The second team coming out in the second half, Amber. I'm very doubtful that Stevens will stay in. I think they've done their work. And work they have, Amrine. I mean, I don't even recognize this Skyridge team from last week against Bingham. I mean, we were talking about how consistently inconsistent their offense has been despite having a stable quarterback this season. I guess reports of that were the demise were premature.
And it was shocking last week when Riverton led up 550 yards to Bingham last week, but, you know, it seems that they might be able to top that tonight.
I mean, they might have over 500 yards in the first half. And you feel just awful for the Riverton Silverwolves just being the victim of a 50-burger here in the first half. Sure, Coach Jim Freeland was not expecting this as that squib kick this time trundles out of bounds. And it will instead be Riverton ball at the 35. And I think given the scoreline exactly where it is, I think we're done here.
Brings out your Silverwolves offense.
Well, the ball did go out of bounds. You know, we could see a little bit of Hail Mary action.
Oh, boy. I mean, we had an insane play last year when we were at Skyridge. Last time we were calling a football game where Easton Baggett caught a deflected pass in double coverage and ended up sprinting 74 yards for a touchdown as time expired in the first half. Well, never say never. And in this case, it's never. Christensen takes the handoff. He gets brought down. And that will mercifully, and I mean mercifully, bring this first half to a close. And it is not a very kind reception the students are giving the Riverton Silverwolves as they head off the field here at halftime. And Amrine, I do have to say, the students need to be a little bit more merciful because we were just hearing them run off the field, the Silverwolves, and they're getting booed by their own student section. That, to me, is just not good.
Yeah, and you hope that Silverwolves come out still with heart in the second half after that. We also hope that they're able to reproduce a bit of what we were able to see on the drive when they were able to put 3 points on the board. We saw some positive things from Andrew Nielsen escaping out of the pocket. They opened up their playbook a bit more. I think they were just a bit more okay and confident with doing that. But it's a shame that we didn't see that sooner, and it took them getting down so much so early for that to happen.
Folks, 51-3 is your score. Don't adjust the set. That's really your score. 7 first-half possessions, 7 touchdowns for the defending champion Skyridge Falcons, who look very much the part of a team that could be in the mix for us for a repeat title in 6A. We'll take a break for halftime, and we'll be back for the second half in just a moment on the Rewind Sports Network on KSLSports.com. Welcome back, everyone, to Riverton High School in Silverwolves Stadium. Alexander Timolip with Alex Amrine for Skyridge Football on the Rewind Sports Network, presented by Heidemann and Associates, the only full-service law firm that is focused on you. Give them a call today at 801-472-7742 or go to utah.law to find the office nearest you. Well, Amrine, I think it's more shocking how Skyridge has been able to put up 50 in the first half, but I think you just need to give the viewers the lowdown on the 7 possessions and 7 touchdowns madness that the Falcons had.
Yeah, so here we go. The statisticians for Skyridge are nice enough to let me take a picture of their stat sheet. So here we go. Jackson Stevens, quarterback, 14 for 21. Pretty good. 281 yards in the first half, 4 touchdowns to the 1 interception, which is pretty much just a third down punt if we're really looking at it that way. Carter Sheffield out of the backfield, 57 yards on the ground with a long of 16, averaging 5.7. That's above his average on the season. 3 rushing touchdowns on the year. Alex, you and I have seen a mix of some games, some closer ones. We've seen a decent amount of blowouts, but I think this has got to be the ugliest blowout we've seen so far in our tenure together.
Well, yeah, I mean, it obviously is, obviously it is one of the bigger blowouts we've seen, and just as I suspected, I could see a lot of the starters for Skyridge out of their pads, and especially Jackson Stevens back there, number 11 on that bench, has his name or has his back plate hanging out. So that probably tells me that the starters night, as we thought, is done for the Skyridge Falcons, and we're going to see the backups come in here in the second half. And this has to be good because now sophomore quarterback Boston Fountain gets to come in number 16 and show what he can do in the second half.
Yeah, and that brings me to kind of some of our points of what I want to see from this second half. I just have one for Skyridge. Give your bench players some play time. And on the Riverton side of the ball, echoing more of the same. I think that they need to create some sort of pressure on the offensive line. And then for their offensive line, they just need to beef up and stand still. We'll see how many defensive, second-string players come in on that side of the ball for Skyridge. But hopefully the offensive line is able to be a bit better and keep opening up their playbook. Be more creative on offense.
So, Amrine, as we are counting down the minutes here to the second half, I want to jump on a point that I think deserves talking about as we get into the second half. Corner Canyon and Skyridge now appear to be head and shoulders above the rest here in 6A this season. The question has to be asked, are we heading for another Corner Canyon Skyridge collision in the playoffs, potentially another championship game showdown?
It's one of those things where it's early in the season, right? We don't know how these games will pan out. Many things happen in football. Teams start to fizzle out. Injuries happen. Let's hope that injuries don't happen, but we know the dynamics of the game of football. But all signs point to yes if I'm looking at my Magic 8 ball. And so we saw how exciting those 2 games were last year between these 2 schools. I'm hoping for more of the same. We've seen how productive both those teams have been so far. Yeah.
It was 2 exciting games. I was actually there for the first game between these 2 squads when it was 21-17 back in late September. And then, of course, we saw what happened in the championship game where Skyridge just dominated defensively. And speaking of those Corner Canyon Chargers, they are currently up on Syracuse 21-7 in the second quarter. That's probably going to be updated here in the next 30 minutes or so, Amrine, but you have to think that on paper, Corner Canyon is head and shoulders above the rest this year in 6A. It's clear.
Corner Canyon, we know what their football program can produce. We've seen the quarterbacks that they've produced over the years, the offensive talent that they've been able to do. More of the same here. Skyridge, I'm really impressed. They're trying to bring up, I think those are just 2 of the top paramount programs here throughout the state.
So, Amrine, I talked with you about this, our observations and whatnot, and I shared you my observations through the first at least couple of weeks of the season. what people don't realize is that there have been a whole bunch of close games the first few weeks of the season. Now, granted, this is probably one of the few that's not close, but it just shows you maybe the parity, maybe the gap in 6A and in the other classifications could potentially be closing because of realignment.
And realignment's exciting. We talked about it recently. I know I was talking with you the other day about how realignment's going to change the whole game. It's going to realign, competitive teams playing against more competitive teams. Hopefully we won't see more of these blowouts like here tonight. Teams are, the schools that don't have as well as diversified rosters are going to play against better, well-matched opponents. So it'll be better opportunity for those kids as well.
But even then, Amrine, we saw what Timpanogos did to Park City a couple of weeks ago. Park City came in with the 5th best returning defense in 5A. Timpanogos put up 33 points on them and lost by only 2 points.
It was a close one. We were talking with Coach Justin Heaps before the game last week, and he said that they felt that they did everything, pretty much up to the point of just giving that game, wrapping it up, putting a bow on top, and giving it over to Park City. He said that was one heck of a school, so they really weren't losing too much sleep over the fact that they lost against such a good opponent. But, you made a good point right there.
Of course, Timpanogos playing against Uintah. Mark Winterton, Jay Catch have the call of that game. And Timpanogos currently leading by our count 14-0. Will Walker kicks off and promptly boots this thing into the end zone.
And that's one of the few kickoffs we've seen actually result in a touchback. Many of these returned, courtesy of Easton Hicks from the Silverwolves.
So now here comes the Riverton defense, and Amrine, you have to think at this point it's about pride for this team.
And right here, they have a perfect opportunity to set their shoulders high, to keep their heads high, to come out and make a statement, even if they are able to just, if nothing else, create a bit more pressure.
Keneal Sweetwine is the new quarterback. Jackson Stevens and the starters done for the night. Sweetwine on first down, first pass, takes a shot. Colby Smith is broken up.
And so very nearly a catch right there. That was really good coverage. Perfectly in stride right there. Colby Smith had every reason to get that ball if it weren't for the defender on him.
JoJo McGee, who's had his name called quite a few times, he's made quite a few plays tonight for Riverton.
We've seen quite a few opportunities in these one-on-one situations on these deep balls.
Sure have. Again, Skyridge starters done for the night. Here is a fake by Sweetwine. He takes the option himself around the left side. Sweetwine to the 30 or close to it. He's going to get stood up by a wall of black shirts. And I believe he is going to be short of the first down.
That was a pretty good fake handoff right there. It faked me out for a second. I definitely thought the running back had that ball, but able to break away right there. Really good run right there, and power putting his shoulder down.
Sweetwine on third down, hands off to Baylor, and he's going to get it, but not by a whole lot. He gets it by about half a yard. And moves the sticks on another first down for the Skyridge offense. Jackson Stevens, by the way, like he brought up, Amory, 14-21 for 281 and 4 scores. Really, the only thing that went wrong in that first half was the pick.
And that one right there.
And that's hard to believe.
And it was a third and long situation right there. Odds are, despite the fact how productive this team is, would have been a punt. So, for all sakes, was just a long punt.
Yeah, it was. There's a big hit laid down there by Burton. As taking the fly sweep that time was Josh Hansen. 5'11" junior, wide receiver. Brother Cy, of course, played on the basketball team, graduated. 2nd down and 2 now from the 38. Sweetwine heads it to Bear. And Baylor gets through the right side of the line, and he gets a first down. They'll move the sticks to the 41. Well, Skyridge, the competition doesn't get any easier from here, Amrine. They have their arch rival Lehigh coming in next week, and for people that didn't hear, according to at least the speculation we heard, in the realignment meeting, Skyridge was not reportedly happy with Lehigh coming up to 6A. So, needless to say, Amrine, things are about to get a little spicy between those two schools next week, to say the least, as Baylor gets stood up in the middle after a gain of 2.
On the carry. Tackled again by number 25.
Actually, it's Westlake, excuse me. I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. And then after that will be Lehigh. But still yet, Amrine, with Westlake and Lehigh, and then PG, LP, American Fork in 3 straight weeks, there's no real easy gimmies anymore for this championship team.
No, I think it's safe to say they'll probably face some tougher competition than they have tonight.
Right. Sweetwine picks up a first down. Ball came out after he hit the ground. First down.
And Sweetwine right there. I think that one's that name's got to be on like the all-region names team.
Yes,
right there.
Kendall Sweetwine. Gotta love that, right? But continue your point, Amrine. Like, it's not going to get any easier for Skyridge after tonight. I mean, I'll be at Westlake next week with Zach Hunter, but then after that, there's no gimmies.
And Westlake's had a tough go of it.
They sure have.
We'll see how they fare. Going into this week of football, they've only scored 35 points in their first 4 games.
But you also have to figure, Amrine, as on 1st and 10 here, Sweetwine's going to hand off to Bear, and he's going to get stood up at the line of scrimmage. You have to figure, Amrine, that Westlake, okay, a lot of the viewers saw Westlake against Alta. Dane Stewart labeled them as a sleeper team, and everybody's kind of thinking, maybe not. Maybe not. They're on the fringe of becoming a sleeper team. You have to think, though, if Westlake plays clean football against Alta, they probably win that football game, or at least make it closer. So it's another case of maybe, Amrine, a team that maybe doesn't have the record as indicative of what they've had, because Westlake, for all intents and purposes, I think, is a really talented team.
You talked about Lehigh earlier. They're currently up on Harriman, who Riverton is going to be playing at next week.
Yeah, and that's not an easy opponent either. Harriman's a very good opponent as well. Sweetwine hands off to Bear, and he gets smothered in the backfield. No chance on that play.
Blown up by number 41, Bo Roberts.
Bo Roberts there on the stop.
And one thing I really like about the Skyridge team, they're really playing to each individual's strengths. And as you see, Sweetwine, he's a good runner with the football. He's got a good size and frame to him. Quite a few quarterback options they've ran thus far. But they're not afraid to keep on airing it out and hand it off to their running back as well on the ground.
Sweetwine's not a very big person for a quarterback, just 6 foot, 215. As he throws this one, that's complete, but short of the marker. As Burton rides Hansen out of bounds, and it'll be 4th and about a yard, and given that it's no man's land here, you would think it's probably going to be 4-down territory here for Skyridge on 4th and 1. And it is.
4th and 1 for the Falcons.
I wouldn't be terribly surprised, Amrine, as Sweetwine just says, I'm going to do this myself. But we've seen stranger things happen. And he's going to give it to Bear, and he's going to have the first down and more. Up to the 30, across the 30, and he gets to the 29. That'll move the sticks for the Falcons.
And I'm wondering, too, how much Skyridge jumps up in the national rankings coming into this game, 94th in the nation.
Well, the argument is there. I mean, Skyridge, okay, has not played the likes of Mater Dei that Bingham has. They haven't played Rancho Santa Margarita like West has, and they haven't played Bishop Gorman like Corner Canyon did a couple weeks ago, as Sweetwine hands it off to Bear up the right side, and he gets brought down by Croft at about the 25. Ball comes out, but after forward progress was stopped. The question is, that's the question to you, Amrine, is like, has Skyridge done enough to jump up the national rankings, even though they haven't played a Gorman or a Mater Dei or a Rancho Santa Margarita, or even like a St. Francis Academy that's going to come in and play West next week?
Well, it all just comes down right to the talent that they're playing.
Right.
And how much that is. So, and we'll see. We know Skyridge has a tough schedule ahead of them.
Agreed.
We talked about it. Lone Peak, PG, and American Fork. That's quite an end stretch right there.
Yeah, talk about a run-in for the money. Running for your money right there. I mean, there's not one game that's tough on there. I mean, that's a whole region of tough games. I mean, there's no wonder they called. A lot of people are saying Region 3 and 6A is probably the SEC of Utah high school football, and for good reason. I mean that as speculation, of course. That's what all the writers, the so-called experts, have said, but I could be wrong. Then again, what do I know about football? I don't know very much anyway. Sweetwine here on 3rd and 1, throws to the flat. That's complete, a first down. And he gets brought down at about the 10-yard line. That's complete to number 81, a new guy into the game. Again, all the starters out for the Skyridge Falcons. Jackson Burt made the catch. Ashton Phillips made the stop for Riverton.
Good little catch there by Jackson Burton. I like the decision by Sweetwine right there, too. He had an option that was possibly open in the back left corner of the end zone, but chose to go conservative.
Kendall Sweetwine showing why he might be the quarterback of the future, and a big tackle there in the backfield as Roberts came up, or rather that was Croft. Now that was Braden Christensen that came up. Excuse me, I was thinking 31 and 41, but it was actually 21.
Braden Christensen's having a pretty good season. He had a sack earlier.
Yeah, one of the 2 sacks that Riverton has had. Glenn Page, the defensive coordinator, has got to be disappointed with that as we have a false start for a flinch on the Skyridge Falcons. Again, if you're just joining us, Skyridge scored 7 touchdowns in 7 first-half possessions, including a safety on a bad snap out of the end zone, on a punt by Will Walker. The starters are all out for the night. Their job is done, and we are in a running clock situation here in the second half. That's why we have so little time left here in the third quarter. Just 4 minutes and 42 seconds rolling clock left in the third. Sweetwine looking. Sweetwine steps up. Lost the football. And are they going to rule that a fumble, or are they going to rule that an incomplete pass? They're going to rule that a fumble, and Riverton has recovered. Jackson Rangers comes up with the football, and I believe it was Bo Roberts, number 41, who ripped the ball out.
The Sweetwine right there.
That's just the inexperience, I think, right there from Kendall Sweetwine.
Yeah, I think he was a bit late to expect that pressure, tried to get away. And I couldn't really tell from here. You might have had a better angle on it than I. But if he just tried to throw that ball, but it looked like, you know, arm wasn't fully in motion, that one's just going to be ruled down as a fumble.
So the first possession in which Skyridge has not scored all night. Throw over the middle. That's complete from Nielsen to Molini. And Michael Molini has a first down up to the 33-yard line. Just the 6th first down of the night for the Riverton Silverwolves.
Michael Molini right there. Good little slot route right there. And then it's just up to Nielsen to wait and pick apart that zone defense over the middle.
Under 4 minutes left to go, third quarter. 51-3 Skyridge. As we are racing toward the conclusion of this one this evening. It's just the third quarter, folks, but know that it's going to go by fast. Triple wide receiver to the right now. Molini lines up bottom of the screen. Nielsen drops the pass, rolls to his right, throws on the run. That's complete. And getting out of bounds across midfield is number 81. That's complete for a first down, number 81. Jackson Morris with another first down there for Riverton.
And that one right there is a drawn-out fake bubble screen right there. And Morris just went up and out. Good little pocket of space right there. Well drawn out play, well executed.
Christensen now the tailback in this formation. Ratliff goes in motion on 1st and 10 for the Skyridge 48. Nielsen looking. Nielsen slides up in the pocket, rolls to his right, now throws, and it's incomplete. Molini wasn't looking back.
And that's a dangerous throw right there when you're running out of your pocket. You're throwing across your body back into coverage.
2:50 clock rolling here. 51-3 Skyridge. All looking like Skyridge is going to go to 5-0 on the season. And Riverton going to fall to 0-4. As we have 2.5 minutes left on the rolling clock here in the third quarter. Running clock because of the mercy rule. Fake to Hicks, and the pass is incomplete. Batted down. Boy, no one was fooled on that one for Skyridge. I mean, Amani Lufo came untouched off that left edge, Amrine, and if he catches that, he's probably still running.
And that one right there, I think Amani Lufo was thinking maybe somehow that was possibly a fumble, but no, that one was a throw and just a batted down pass and picked up right there. But yeah, you're right. If he gets there a second earlier and is able to get some hands on it, he'd be looking for pay dirt.
Gnats and midges flying all around us here into the lights. Now as we hit 2 minutes to go on a rolling clock, 51-3. Hit as he throws is Nielsen. Up the sideline and incomplete. Intended for number 86, Josh Osborne. And it's 4th down, and given that it is the scoreline where it is, it's no surprise. I mean, you don't want to give up good field position to Skyridge here. You need to get this football just deep.
Yeah, and to a Skyridge, basically second team that's done a pretty good job. They got almost into scoring position before that fumble by Sweetwine. And, Nielsen, he's done a decent job the second half, but been consistent with not having great deep balls.
Wow, this is a laser beam by Walker way up into the air, and it takes a sideways bounce. And it will be down at the 6-yard line. Gabe Torkanu, the starting corner, got down there and downed it at the 6. With 1:25 to go, it's a good time to remind you that KSL Sports Rewind's coverage of high school football is presented by Advanced Windows. The fall window sale is going on right now. $2,000 on 10 windows or more with 60 months, zero interest financing available as well for limited time only. Call them today at 801-850-9100 and get your new windows before the cold weather comes in. Sweetwine fakes on first down, looking, throws up the seam, and a pretty good coverage, incomplete. Intended once again for Jackson Burt.
Pass intended for Jackson Burt.
And it'll be second down and 10 here from the 6 as we're under 1 minute to go here on a running clock with a 51-3 scoreline.
And Sweetwine, I think he made the right choice right there. Jackson Burt's defender was behind him a few paces. The safety was dropped down a little bit. I think a bit more accurate, that would have been one heck of a throw and catch.
And here's a screen set up for Baylor, and he's got some room. Baylor has a first down, and he gets tackled at about the 20-yard line. They'll mark him officially at the 19, and that is enough to move the sticks there for Riverton.
And this is a compelling time for Skyridge. They get to kind of look forward. Okay, who are these younger guys coming up? What do they have to offer? Who are our upcoming stars, both on the offensive side and on the defensive side?
Well, I think it's safe to say Kendall Sweetwine is kind of making a name for himself back there. Here's a big hole for Baylor and a great open field tackle as Gage Watt wasn't letting him get away. And that should do it for the third quarter. That has zipped along here like nobody's business.
Let's see if they do try to get a playoff or just try the hard count.
I think it's probably going to be a hard count. Sweetwine, though, is looking at the clock. And they are going to try to get one more playoff. Baylor will take it as the siren goes off. And the quarter comes to a close. And we are right where we started, 51-3 our score, as we head to the final quarter of play here tonight at Riverton. Back here at Skyridge versus Riverton High School's Silverwolves Stadium. Alexander Tmalip, Alex Amrine with Mike Christensen on the camera and Jerem Mulford at the controls. One more time tonight, we'd like to remind you that Advanced Windows is having their fall window sale, $2,000 off 10 windows or more for 60 months with 0% interest financing, also available for a limited time. Call them at 801-850-9100. Kendall Sweetwine starts the fourth quarter with a pass. That is complete. Penalty flag goes down. Pass is complete to Zayden Selu. And I have a feeling that somebody got caught downfield before the pass was thrown, and that's why it is coming back.
Silverwolves brought a lot of pressure on that play right there. Thankfully, the pass would turn out to be a quick release to his man Selu, popping off the line, going out into the flats.
Yeah, too bad, though. As the offensive lineman was caught downfield before the pass was thrown. Was wandering in the strawberry patch where he shouldn't have been. And in fact, I don't think they called an eligible man downfield. I think they called offensive pass interference for blocking downfield prior to the pass. So that makes it 3rd and a mile here. Anyway, whatever it is, 3rd and 17 now. Sweetwine drops straight back, pressure coming, and he goes down. They were right on top of him. Jonas Tuimaseve. And Amrine I was texting back and forth with Coach Jim Freeland, and he said 25 is going to be a problem. Jonas Tuimaseve and his brother Max, who plays on the offensive line, they're big dudes, and they have problems coming after the quarterback.
Yeah, you talked about him on our drive up here to Riverton. Good speed right there, beating the tackle, getting Stillwater.
Burton's going to be able to get this punt. And it's going to take a sideways Riverton bounce as it goes out of bounds at the 34-yard line. But you can continue your point now.
Oh, no, just talking about that last play right there. I think, of course, still wants to continue to learn how to read pressure, learn how to read blockers, see the guys coming pre-snap, but also that comes to these new offensive line players, learning how to handle people with real pressure, real speed off the line, and that's something that they'll continue to improve upon when they eventually take those starting helms in the years to come.
And that's actually what we were talking about with Jim Freeland earlier, was they have so much experience on this offensive line. I mean, they have Keite Falatea, they have Jackson McKay, right tackle 77, Bubba Aldridge, 55, the center, and Max Tui Maseve, of course, 71, the offensive line tackle at left tackle. They are providing some great anchors for this offensive line. Example A, Easton Hicks bursting up the middle.
Easton Hicks has been a bright spot all throughout the night for the Silverwolves. A bright spot in a dim night, you could say.
183 total all-purpose yards. He has 100 total return yards and now 83 rushing yards for the Riverton Silverwolves. He has definitely been a bright spot. The senior captain, who will be playing baseball, of course, in the spring, and then hopefully serve his mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. At least that's his intention. Nielsen, look out! He gets absolutely clobbered. I mean, they were absolutely set for that one. Nobody was fooled. Pick your poison. I think it was Amani Liu Fao. We'll call that man's name again. 31 was in the backfield in the blink of an eye. No chance.
And that one right there, we've been seeing Skyridge Falcons generate pressure all night. This is the first time that we've seen that so far in the second half. The second half's been a bit of a slow start. I was making a point to you. I guess the running clock is to blame, but it's weird seeing a 51-3 score at halftime and then nothing scored in the third quarter, excuse me.
But defensive coordinator Patrick Gleaves not giving up on the rush. 3rd down and a mile. Here is a pass complete to Hicks, and he gets run over out of bounds, well short of the first down.
Hicks on the reception.
And it's going to be 4th down and 5 here, Amrine, and I don't think there's any point in giving Will Walker a chance to kick a field goal. You go for this.
You go for this right here. You want to try, this is, again, even in a game like this, both sides of the ball, you can look at it this way on the losing side. You're playing for pride, or you're playing just to see, what you can do in these kind of scenarios. Obviously, you're not going to win this game, and so here you can treat this like a good 4th down scenario, real life, and practice it out.
Ratliff lines up in the slot. Mullenny lines up to the right. Pressure on Nielsen. Throw. That's complete. Mullenny breaking a tackle, and he gets brought down inside the 15-yard line. Right on cue, Hamrine. There's the first down.
And Mullenny's the guy that's gotten a few looks here tonight. Mullenny's done pretty well for himself.
Nielsen now from the shotgun. Hicks to his right. Looks to him, and now comes back to his right. Still on his feet. Andrew Nielsen breaking tackles. And we have a flag down as Easton Hicks. Got called for throwing a blindside block on the defender. And that's just unfortunate, because that's really how the night's gone for Riverton. And the frustration mounting here inside of 9 minutes to go here in the 4th quarter. And I have to say, unfortunately, Amran, that was the right call. Because you cannot hit somebody on a blind side.
It can be tough when you're down like this and haven't gotten to the end zone yet. All you're thinking about is making sure that your player gets in there, and you'll do whatever it takes. And sometimes those quick judgment calls about what's a foul and what's not kind of get thrown out the window.
Just been that kind of a night for the Riverton offense. Just ill-timed mistakes. So now it's 1st and a mile from the 19-yard line. They can get a first down at the 3 without scoring, of course. Hicks remains in. Nielsen throws, end zone, touchdown! There is a flag down in the middle of the field. Josh Osborne made the catch, but there's a flag down in the middle of the field. There's a flag down at the 16-yard, around the 13-yard line. And Amrine, I think this might be coming back because it looks like somebody was downfield before the pass was thrown.
Yeah, and it looks like
that play just took way too long developing. And they're going to say no foul.
That's a touchdown, Silverwolves.
Well, it's good to hear the student section rolling again after that one. Give them something to cheer about.
So Will Walker for the 10th point of the night. Good snap, good hold, and the kick is good. And so with 8 minutes, 8 seconds left here in the fourth quarter, Skyridge now leads 51-10. One more time, I'd like to remind you that Rewind Sports Network coverage of Skyridge football is presented by Heidemann & Associates, the flat rate law firm that is completely focused on you. Get a free consultation by calling 801-472-7742 or go to utah.law to find the closest office of Heidemann & Associates near you. 51-10, 8 minutes, 8 seconds left.
You know, I think both of us have been getting a little high on Sweetwine right here and what he has to offer. You talked about he doesn't have an incredible frame right here. He does come in pretty tall, 6'4", just a $185. Pretty good size. I like what his arms had to offer, and he's also good speed. Oh, and they tried that onside kick. There is going to be a flag.
Offside, I think, on the kickoff, I think it is, Amrine.
Yeah, you got to make sure no member of the kicking team runs past the line where you're kicking from. I won't lie, I got called on that a few times in high school.
Yep. We all got called for jumping the gun a little bit before the snap, so it'll be 5 yards, back them up.
Illegal procedure by the Silverwolves.
Well, a bit of a bold move right there. I got to admire.
Very bold move, though.
Got to admire the fact that they're trying to give their offense as much time as they can to make the scoreline look a little more flattering.
So, from the 35 now, the onside kicks, by the way, have to go 10 yards or more. The kick did go 10 yards, but it was called back for an offside on the kickoff. In other words, it was called an illegal procedure on the kickoff. Cannot advance past the kickoff line before the ball is hit. So this one a traditional kickoff. And it'll be taken by Selu at the 8. And Zevon Selu breaks a couple of tackles. He's into the secondary. And the turf monster gets him. Oh, no. Well, that's about the only thing that's gone wrong for Skyridge tonight other than the interception.
Oh,
and the fumble.
Selu tonight was able to pick his way, weaving in and out and in and out. Oh, he just pulled a little bit of a Easton Nix right there and got a little stumble, got a little too excited and fell.
I'm sure Justin Hem will be showing that plenty on the film this week.
I'm sure his friends on the team are going to be having plenty of fun this week.
And what's worse is number 15's coming back out. So now we will get to see Boston Fountain, the third stringer, here in the fourth quarter with Selu lining up as the single setback next to him in the gun on the right hip. Fountain, first pass, looking, throws, that's complete, crossing pattern, and getting the first down across midfield to the 45-yard line. That is Noah Burt, the tight end, the senior, 6'3".
Noah Burt on the reception for a
and they're going to rule out another first down.
Good little drag right across the middle right there. Fountain looking through his levels, going to the bottom guy, pick up a new set of downs.
Skyridge students heading to the exits here with 7 minutes to go, sensing that the end is nigh. Skyridge, or rather, we're going to have an official's timeout as we have a player down on the other side of the field. Well, while we have a moment, we want to take this moment to say a special shout-out, Amrine, of course, to the good people of Maui. Of course, it's been a very difficult month and a half, Amrine. I mean, you've seen the pictures from Maui, from Lahaina town, whole areas of residential, whole patches of residential areas just decimated by truly one of the most generational disasters you'll ever see in state history. I mean, it's hard to believe it's only been a month, Amrine, since that disaster, and not a day goes by I think both of us don't think about it, me especially as a local kid, of what's gone on there on the Valley Isle.
Yeah, and I remember when you came back home, I was trying to just ask you, because I only see things coming through the news, but asking you kind of what has been going on out there, what it's been like as someone who comes from the islands. So pretty scary picture to see what those people have gone through. Very sad, but it provides an opportunity for people to reach out a hand to their brothers and sisters in need.
Yep, and of course KSL Sports is getting in on the act. You can contribute to their Maui Strong fundraiser by going to KSLSports.com. And you can search in the search bar Maui Strong Fundraiser, and you can see how to contribute to the Valley Isle. And as a Hawaii kid, I say a big mahalo to all those who have contributed so far as Fountain gets away, throws to Salo in the flat. That's complete. And he's going to have another first down to the 37-yard line with 6:40 to go here on a rolling clock in the fourth quarter.
And Fountain right there did a really good job escaping pressure, then going up. You kind of saw he was debating to run it, but realized that the people downfield were going to be able to stop him. Dished it off to the running back for the first down.
First and 10 from the 35. Fountain hands to Selu, runs into his own man, and he gets swallowed up in the backfield.
Selu, of course, looking for a little bit of redemption after that stumble on the kickoff.
Yeah, he is kind of looking for a little bit of redemption, just to say the least, after that stumble on the turf monster on the kickoff.
Hey, well, he gave them great field position at the very least.
Jackson Rangers, the nose tackle, brought him down in the backfield. No gain on that one, second down and 10. We're past the halfway point of the fourth quarter. Fountain, screen to Selu, gets a couple of blocks, ducks his head down, and he will be close to a first down. They're going to mark him right at the marker at the 25-yard line. That's enough to move the sticks.
I've liked, sometimes when you see them teams bring in their second stringer, sometimes they'll be super one-dimensional, make things a little bland for us broadcasters, trying to keep things interesting. But Skyridge has done a great job so far, keeping their playbook wide open.
Well, you would expect that, right? As Selu goes up the middle for about 4 yards. But you kind of feel, Amrine, and this is what we were talking about on the way up here, that this is what Skyridge probably needs to do a little bit more often in terms of keeping the playbook open in certain spots, because we've seen against Bingham, against Timpview, against the really big teams, they're not going to get away with spotty offense. Against even against really good defense, they won't get away with spotty offense. As we watch this play here by Boston Fountain, 2nd and 5. Selu gets the handoff on the sweep. And he'll push his way forward for about maybe 4.
I've really liked what I've seen from Fountain tonight. He's done a really good job just organizing this offense. And you got to say the same for Sweetwine. But Fountain has done a really good job going through progressions on throws, delivering accurate passes.
It kind of scares you, though, doesn't it, Amrine? Like, this is the future of Skyridge football we could be looking at here. Terrifying to think, actually. Fountain gets away, throws to the end zone, tipped, and incomplete.
And that was a close one right there.
For the Falcons, brings up 4th down.
So 4th down and 3 here for the Skyridge Falcons. Given the scoreline where it is, I sincerely doubt they're going to try to tack on 3 points. They'll just try to pick up the first down and drain as much of this clock to oblivion as they can. High snap. Baylor gets the handoff, and he's got it.
Good little run right there to keep this drive alive, keep this clock draining, and do everything that they want to do on this drive. But that last play, the one before this one right here, that was a good job right there by Fountain, escaping pressure. We've seen that a few times from him on this drive, and delivering a good pass, just a little bit of high. Of course, he's going, weak side across his body into the back of the end zone. Tough throw right there.
Jackson Rangers, by the way, limped off, and now he's down on the sideline. Fountain throws the fade to the end zone, and it is incomplete. Looking for Burt there on the wheel route.
And for a tough attempt to catch right there, it was pretty close. Look at the defender was pretty close to him on his backside. I'm surprised there wasn't a little something thrown right there, but maybe the refs just giving him the benefit of the doubt.
They normally do. I mean, Brett Hammer would back me up on that. He's a former defensive back. He would know himself. As Selu gets the handoff and a big hole. Selu bouncing. And he is going to be short of the end zone. But not for a lack of effort. He almost got in.
And Selu can't quite punch it in yet and get himself his redemption arc here tonight. Maybe a yard away, though.
Boy, we are seeing the future of Skyridge football right before our eyes. Scary to think. Fountain from the gun. Selu at his right hip. It's Selu. Or rather, it's the quarterback, Fountain, keeping it. And he finds the Fountain of Youth for the score. Touchdown. I know that was terrible, Amrine. I was waiting to break it out, but...
You know, I think I've done a lot worse.
No.
So.
That was a horrendous dad joke right there. I apologize to all our viewers. But anyway, it's 57-10 now with 2:15 left here in the ball game, and many of the Skyridge students are filing out. As the extra point is good. And it is 58-10.
It's good. Skyridge 58. And your Silverwolves 10.
So we'll take a quick break and be back after this word one last time from Modern Missionary Menswear on the Rewind Sports Network. Welcome back, everyone. Final 150 here between Skyridge and Riverton. Skyridge leading 58-10. Before we go, we'd like to bring you up to date on some scores we're watching from around the state tonight. Of course, Lehigh leading Harriman 45-28. Bingham and American Fork leading that one 28-0. Corner Canyon, no surprises all over Syracuse, 42-14. But definitely the shocker of the night, Amrine, Granger Weber. I mean, we thought that would have been a close game coming in, but Weber hanging tough there in the fourth quarter late on.
Yeah, just over 5 minutes left in that one. And going back to the American Fork game, the Cavemen leading the Miners, 5 minutes left in the third, 28-0.
Yeah, and everybody thought that game against West was a fluke. No, it wasn't. American Fork really is that good.
And talking about, American Fork, an opponent that Skyridge is going to end up playing. They played them last week, won by just a score. Or played Bingham, and won by just a score. So with American Fork beaten by a lot, they know that they're going to have a tough challenge at the end of the season.
And, of course, we can't forget Olympus leading Brighton 20-17 early in the fourth quarter, and midway through the third quarter, West leading Alta 28-20. I mean, how about the Olympus Titans, Amrine? Huge roster turnover, lose their head coach. They could be on their way to upsetting one of the favorites in 5A. Crazy.
Not doing bad for themselves going up against the second-ranked team.
To say nothing of West. They have to play St. Francis Academy next week as that kickoff is taken by Hicks at the 9. Hicks, 10, 15, 20, 25. Flag comes down. As that's probably going to be a holding. As Easton Hicks now well over 200 all-purpose yards here tonight. I mean, he's got offers coming in. Jim Freeland said the kid is an absolute stud. I mean, the kid is unbelievable, Easton Hicks, number 5. I mean, you can't say enough about him.
And he's been one of the bright sparks of this team so far. He's done a really good job on special teams. Be interesting to see where he might end up and how he's utilized for whichever college he may go to.
So for the last time tonight, Silverwolves will come out on offense. And what I assume will be a 5-wide set for the rest of the night. No fooling around with the 4 wide anymore. That's going to be 5 wides, all gets out here. Guns blazing. Nielsen throws up the sideline. A lot of contact, but incomplete. Here comes a flag. As we are going to have a pass interference, and that will give a first down to Riverton. Josh Osborne, the intended receiver.
On the field.
And that one right there, the Skyridge defender did
that's
not.
That's one if Brett Hammer pulls on you, he probably will never get called for that. Don't tell him I said that. He's probably listening.
Well, that one right there, the Skyridge defender, I just don't think had any need to put his hand up on that guy right there. Just keep your eyes on the ball, not the player in front of you, and the fact that he's beating you. That ball is sailing over the receiver.
Unless if you're Brett Hammer, you keep your eye on the man, and you also put your hand on the man. He is going to have my head after this broadcast. Nielsen, hands off, and up the middle. Try to get the number on who carried the ball here in a second.
Number 19, Michael Doan.
Michael Doan was the one that carried the ball there, number 19.
Brings up 2nd and 5 for your
As we are
Silverwolves.
under 1 minute to go, and I seriously don't think Riverton is going to give Skyridge the pleasure of trying to put up 60 points on them. Nielsen looking. Here comes the pressure, and down he goes again. He gets the full takedown. Boy, that Skyridge defense just absolutely relentless. As that's going to take us to the finish line, I believe, here this evening. It'll be 3rd down and 5, but I don't think Skyridge and Riverton is going to run another play here this evening.
Well, they are getting lined up.
They are getting lined up for handshakes. We are going to have one more play. Nielsen looking, throws, hit as he throws, incomplete, and that's going to take us to the finish line and take the Skyridge Falcons to 4-0 in the regular season. Back here at Riverton High School, final score 58-10 as the defending champion Skyridge Falcons scored 51 first-half points and never looked back from there. Alexander Tibbleff, Alex Amrine wrapping it up here from the Silverwolves Stadium. So Amrine, not shocking that Skyridge won, but shocking how they did it here tonight. It was a thorough domination from minute 1 to minute 48.
You know, I thought Skyridge would have a bit of the upper hand, but, you know, in our talks, we thought that, you know, Riverton, they have played a tough schedule. And once again here tonight, going up against another tough team now to drop to 0-4. But this game, I think, was a bigger separation of talent than we had previously predicted. The Skyridge Falcons look like they're on their way to another run through the playoffs.
So, Alex Amrine, time to name our Heidemann Associates Player of the Game, presented by the full-service law firm committed to winning for you, the clients. And it's no surprise who it is. Even though he only played 24 minutes tonight, Jackson Stevens, for his first half performance, no doubt the Heidemann Associates Player of the Game, proving you why that Skyridge was over the moon to have him transfer from Davis.
Yeah, first half hero, and who ended up stealing the win for the Falcons. Jackson Stevens went 14 for 21 behind the line, throwing for 281, 4 touchdowns, just the 1 interception, which we talked about too, was basically a 3rd down punt. If you're really talking about Jackson Stevens, once again, looks so confident in the pocket. He has great weapons at his disposal. He has so much time in the pocket, and he's just doing a great job. Expect to see more of him throughout the rest of the season.
Now, Alex Amrine, the viewers should know about this. Alex Amrine, this is your final game with me here on KSL Sports Rewind. You are the first broadcast partner I had. Tonight's your final game. For now, of course, there's a potential that we will be back in some form sometime in the near or far future. But Amrine, why don't you tell the viewers what opportunity you've got coming your way in the next couple of weeks?
Oh, well, just including to work over at BYU TV, but also a little bit of an internship with the Utah Jazz, working with their broadcast team. So a little busy up there, and then, of course, got married over the summer, so got duties and responsibilities at home now, too.
Yes, we want to send a shout-out to your wife, Adrienne, of course, who's watching, hopefully at home, hopefully realizing that her husband and his best friend is not causing too much trouble here tonight. But Amrine, from one intern to the other, congratulations on your opportunity, man. And it's sad to see you go, although, you know, it was sad to see Colton go as well, but Zach Hunter's going to do well in your absence, and it was a pleasure working with you the last year and a half, buddy. I appreciate it.
Oh, likewise. Zach's a great guy. You'll have fun.
We also want to thank Mike Christensen here and Jerem Mulford on the controls here tonight, and Vince Francis back in Salt Lake, helping us with our technical difficulties here tonight. The final score, once again, is Skyridge 58, Riverton 10. For all of our crew, I'm Alexander Timolip. Good night from Riverton. Aloha from Utah. Good night. And until we meet again, take care of one another, everyone. Good night.